Today's video is about magnetism, the magnetic cycle and the magnetic field of the Earth. I thought I'd just show you this to just show you that Earth is like a ring magnet. Okay, so I've got magnets under here, ring magnets. So look carefully. This is the southern field, the southern hemisphere all the way around the outside. This circle is represented by the centre north. We can see the southern hemisphere field. There's a little dark line at the centre here, the equator, just here. Then you have the northern hemisphere. So sorry, ignore that it's the northern hemisphere. Realise this is the centre of the Arctic, the place of inaccessibility, where the vortex of creation is hidden, unseen to man. Very small hole. Everything expands outward. Everything expands as you move south. This is why we have the Gleason map. Okay, so there you see the northern hemisphere, a dividing line which is the equator or the tropical gap, and then you have the southern field. Okay, so bear with me, I'm going to extend the camera. So let's move this camera back a little bit. But like I say, today's video is about the magnetic field of Earth and basically a magnetic field cycle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you this post I put up just recently on Facebook, and you can ask yourself why it's gone nowhere. I'm exposing the lies here. The globe lies through magnetism. So it starts off, read this, and I've got an image at the bottom that shows you what capacitance is, right? That's about capacitance, okay? This capacitance is what Tesla was referring to, but someone called it human energy. He may have called it human energy to keep people away from it or from stealing it as information or whatever, or they've released the paperwork now and they've labelled it as human energy so you don't click. But he was basically talking about the capacitance, what goes on between these two plates. Okay, but someone called it human energy to keep you away from the truth. He knew these plates represented each side of the tropics as the monopoles. Okay, this is all to do with our flat earth system, right? Where you have Capricorn and we have Cancer. Okay, all non-physical or even metaphysical, whatever you want to put, whatever label you want to put on it. We don't see it, but it's going on up there above us. It's what creates the whole recycling system of our Earth, creates the sun, feeds the plasma. It's all going on there. I've talked about this for years and it's gone nowhere. So I'm obviously shadow banned. So you tell me why it's never got out there and been exposed, and why people aren't questioning these liars. But let's read on, okay? He knew these plates represent each side of the tropics as monopoles, both south, with the tropical zone gap as the dielectric. Just like the dielectric, the gap between the two capacitor plates. It's the exact same thing going on up here. These metal plates acting as Capricorn and Cancer create electromagnetism or magnetic induction, but not quite electromagnetism because there needs to be earthing. Okay? So you've got to have the earthing. The earthing, you've got this being created here, but you have to have the earthing come up here. And this is where they connect to create the sun, the plasma, pure plasma sun that we do not see. Okay? So when you get power into your house, it's the wires come into your house, but you have to have an earth peg, don't you? It's all free power, guys. Once you understand all this. What is earthing? Magnetism. Earth is basically a ring magnet. Your science tells you that. There has to be a feed up off the Earth to the point of light. That's what we get in the Arctic sea, it comes up. This is one end of the Milky Way, spiralling up here. We only see it at night, because the sun's facing in the other direction. It's up in here. And this is the other end of the Milky Way. So copy it now before they take it down. And remember, who told you first? The globe theory is a lie. It keeps us all from realizing that both sides of the tropics represents the South Pole. In contrast, both Arctics represent the North Pole. You do not have to be a genius to work this out. I figured this out from home 7 years ago when I first started researching flat Earth. It's all in my videos, earlier videos, if they're still up. So why has nothing come of it? 2 reasons. 1, the ordinary person is simple and follows behind the large flock, or just plain ignorant, you choose. Secondly, YouTube shadow bans my information, preventing me from sharing the truth. For those who cannot think for themselves, take note. Both the Arctics are cold, both are high pressure zones, both have ice, both Arctic winds flow to the central tropical warm zone. There is only one central tropical warm zone, which is the low pressure zone. There's always been one, always was, always will be. This is why we could never have a total ice age over the Earth, because the whole system wouldn't work. There would be no life. There'd be nothing. Earth wouldn't exist. You have to have the 2 fields merged to the centre. It's part of the whole dual system of creation. Both so-called poles, both norths have auroras. Both have compass dip, while the centre of the tropics, celestial equator, points upward. Both flow in a curved path to their respective tropical sides, Cancer and Capricorn, to run parallel for a short distance, opposing each other across the tropical gap, heading west. They both spiral out of each end. There, spirals out of the south, spirals out of the north. They come around, they spiral out like this. There's the 2 night skies, you can see them. The stars rotating like this, or revolving or turning. We only see half the cycle at once. But they come out of the south, comes out of the so-called south, so-called north, around, run parallel before they disperse again. It's that alignment there. It's a divine point where the cogs meet. That's what's involved with religion at a particular time. The 2 opposing fields across the dielectric tropical gap create the sun we see via magnetic induction. This is where the sun we see is in here, the tropical gap. But it's at the end of the Milky Way. It's actually just an image, a projection of what's really back in here, because this is our light spectrum. This is outside of our light spectrum. It's beyond us. The 2 opposing fields across the dielectric tropical gap create the sun we see via magnetic induction and capacitance. The 2 magnetic fields swing out of the Arctics as though both ends had an electrical charge, sending out a magnetic field spin. That's what I just showed you. This is why the magnetic field of Earth is curved. Okay? Because it actually swings right around like this, back in again. It's curved. But the tropics is not curved. No. We're going to get onto that. It shows sending out the magnetic field spin, always creating the magnetic curved field. This is what gives us the 2 separate hemisphere star rotations, swinging around out of the north and south, but to be seen arriving from our easts to head west. I'm using their terms, north and south. Really, they're both north. They both spin out, come around and head west. It's a no-brainer. Anyone can see all this. Anyone can prove all this. Just get out and use your flipping eyes, or get a camera and watch Star Trail photography or whatever. Remember, stars are for signs, showing us the physics of our Earth. This cannot be debunked. Both the Arctics have the common compass point towards them. Okay, just reversed. This is why they make a northern hemisphere compass and a southern hemisphere compass. They just flip the north end of the arrow to have you think that is the South Pole. There is no flowing magnetic field between the tropics. Change the subject then. No, there's no field travelling between the tropics. So there's your ball. A total lie. The magnetic field does not cross the tropics. How does it get round here? Absolute lie. Look, a rotor and a stator. The stator in the middle just turns. There's the rotor. Turns all the way around it. Fixed centre north spiralling circles. Those stars don't go anywhere. They stay there. Non-perishable as it's written, but the southern field, they perish because they move up, overlay and come back. These stars here disappear. They get lost in these stars over the changing season. The rotor, rotating southern hemisphere, mirrored cycle of the north as it turns. As this turns, it sends out the mirror, the parabolic mirrored projection. As this turns all the way around. 1 360 cycle here sends this image all the way around there. But there's always a mirrored image everywhere out south. The mirrored parabolically. The concave, the concave sky. This is basically the flux of the Earth, because Earth is a magnet, a ring magnet. We live inside the flux. That curve creates the parabolic mirrored image of the stars from the north, and they get brought down and pushed up this way and brought back to the observer. So all the images are reflected back to the observer in a nice circle, where the observer sees his southern hemisphere star rotation. It's right there on his horizon. It's no brainer. Anyone can just check. There is no flowing magnetic field between the tropics, okay? Because the field is built up here before it dips straight down into the ground. It's built up here, around here. And around here, Cancer. It's strong, so it's direct. Oh, try reaching. Your compass bearing will give you a direct, because it says that point here and the point in. Everybody's on a meridian, a straight line from south to north. So your compass is going to give you a direct bearing. Out here they're curved. Anyway, I'll come backtrack a bit. The two magnetic fields swing out of the Arctics as though both ends had an electrical charge, sending out a magnetic field spin. So you've got to realise that's how the Earth works, sort of opposite to the way we're taught in electrical. It's all about the magnetic field. You know, we get taught the right hand rule, the thumb rule. Well, maybe just like that. But anyway, you've got the hydrogen molecule flowing up through the centre here. It's all about the water. And what's happening to the moisture, the water, the hydrogen, the water molecule, as it's going through this electroplating, ionisation. Okay? It's all about the magnetic field coming up out of the south, coming around. It's not electrical. Electrical gets created in here, which creates the electromagnetic field, but it's all about what's going on in the gap here. Always creating the magnetic curve field. This is what gives us the two separate hemisphere star rotations, swinging around out of the north and south, but to be seen arriving from our east to head west. Remember, stars are for signs, showing us the physics of our Earth. This cannot be debunked. Both the Arctics have the common compass point towards them, just reversed. This is why they make a northern hemisphere compass and the southern hemisphere compass. There is no flowing magnetic field between the tropics. There are no curved magnetic field lines to follow. This is the only place on Earth where one gets a direct north to south reading, because Cancer and Capricorn have the magnetic field built up in their capacitance. The compass is merely pointing between those two directions. So why? So at the same time you've got to realise the North and the South Pole is basically is also a strong and a weak force. Okay? So you consider the northern hemisphere is the strong force. That's the weaker force, because all the energy around here is equivalent to this energy around here all added up. But look, it's widely dispersed. So in a one magnetic cycle, there's a strong force and a weak force. And the arrow is always pointing, perpendicular to these arcs. Okay? And even on a bigger picture, that is a weak force way out here around the perimeter to what's here in the north. But they're both north, it's just a weak and strong force. The opposite is the S. This is the south, southern field. Okay? They repulse each other, remember? They've been brought in by the wind, the temperature, convection, cold to the warm. You've seen this in meteorology. Look on your maps, go on Google, whatever, you see the wind being curved around the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn. And they drop straight down to the ground. That's all described in ancient books. They know the whole system. They knew the whole system. There's the only place on Earth that direct north to south reading, because Cancer and Capricorn have the magnetic field build up in their capacitance. The compass is merely pointing between those two directions. Now realise the potential difference between Cancer and Capricorn. There is the weak force on the Capricorn side and the strong force on the Cancer side. Physics knows all about this potential difference. It is associated with Plato's unequal divided line, the 3:2 ratio, which is the golden ratio, and even the shape of the sun's analemma. This also takes you on to what phi actually means, or comes from, which was the magnetic cycle, the figure 8, and the infinity symbol. So realise the Earth's magnetic field does not cross the tropics, especially overhead, like the globe lie states. So the question is, what are we going to do about it? What are all the flat earthers doing about it? Nothing. I hear crickets. They are hiding the free energy and magnetism that every home could run on. There is more to this system, like the water molecule that ascends up through the tropical gap, and how that correlates to fresh water that rises up through the rocks to reach high mountain temples around the world. Also realise the only difference between the two Arctics is the magnetic strength between their cycles. This is the weak and strong force physics talks about. Light comes from magnetism. All energy is from magnetism. It's about understanding its potential. Now, I have the picture here. You just go online. What is capacitance? Why can't I open this? There we go. Expand it. So you go online. There's an image there. Okay? Capacitance. Then you read it. What is capacitance? The capacitance of a capacitor equals the amount of charge a capacitor can hold when a potential difference is placed across the plates. Strong force, weak force. You have to get that right in relation to the size of the plate and the gap. Tesla was talking about the gap and everything, talking about the size of these and the gap distance and all that, and it was all under human energy. Look that one up, see if you can find it. And plates depend on the size, area of the plates. 2, the separation between the plates. 3, the dielectric constant. Okay? The dielectric constant. So realise this gap, this is where the sun, put this down now, the sun flows around here. As these fields come in, they only come in because the sun is there, and the sun's only there because the fields come in. They feed off each other. Once it's created, that's it. And this is what they're finding tricky in the cold nuclear fusion, setting it up. They have to give it a blast of energy to set it off in motion first, so then the whole system will start going. But they don't understand I have the system. This dual system. It has to have this system here feeding back into this system. I can do another video on all that, break it all down. I get all these things on my mind and then move on to the next day and it's all gone. But anyway, so that's the image of the sun. So you've got to imagine that is all happening back at the centre of creation also. But it's all been blown up. So because I know how the whole Earth system works, I can surely help them create nuclear fusion. On the non-physical scale, they're building it with billions of dollars of metal, physical machinery, when there's nothing physical going on here on Earth. Okay, so understanding the magnetic cycle, there's the Fibonacci golden ratio. So it comes out of here. So you can consider these as a steel pole with a wire coil, and up here is the other end of the other one. Okay, so there's the other coil. So you've got both ends and what's happening between it. That's on an overall, a larger scale, but then you break it down again, one there and one there. It's like magnetism, you can extend it or break it down. Add magnets to it, you're just getting a bigger field. Chop the magnets down, you're getting smaller fields. It all works like this. Okay? But there's the lie. I've just proven why they want to keep the globe theory. To stop, or why they stop you from going to the Arctics and figuring it out yourself. There, if it was a ball, is your south pole, south pole. Well, up here is the north, 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 north. Don't even go there. North. There's your north pole. There. North. 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 South. 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 These two here, Capricorn and Cancer, are your souths. Realise magnetism is just an infield and an outfield. Okay? In and an out. The field drops down into the earth at these 2 points, comes out at these 2 points. The two Arctics. Comes out at the two Arctics, comes out, out. Both ends of the auroras, and they go in the centre, meet in the centre. It's a no-brainer. You've seen it on Google. You've seen the wind, the magnetic field lines. They show you how they're merging towards the tropics. It's all there, guys. You could use that as one big reason as to why they restrict you playing around in the Arctics. They don't want you to know. Earth's magnetic field does not cross the tropics. Magnetic field, magnetic cycle, phi, there's a loop, there's the 3:2 ratio, or the unequal divided line of Plato. There's your S-curve of creation, which is basically this here. See, if you look down, if it's all compacted, you're looking down on it, it's like that. That's what that S would look like if you look down. Okay, side elevation, plan view. And it's like they've been watching my videos. There's so many of these scientists watching my videos. They steal the information and then plagiarize it and give it to their clan, their paid Freemason club members, and then they can predate, post-date the information, make out it came out like years ago. But anyway, just recently on YouTube they're showing Earth is from the hole. Earth could possibly be from the hole. Well, who's been stating that in all his videos for the last 6-7 years? Okay? And also now, negative mass and positive mass. There's a video out at the moment where he's talking, YouTube, what if you try to lift a negative mass? It's about lagging behind. They're touching on what I've been talking about. You've got the 2D plane. 2D plane, it's the positive because the sun always sits up here. Sun sits up here, doesn't move. And then it creates the 3D, the negative, the moon, which does this big cycle, lagging behind. The lagging. The moon is actually the sun. Trust me. It's just showing us the dual system we all live in, the male and the female. How they come together at new moon and come apart again at full moon. New moon, full moon. This is the pulsing. And it's the cycle of life. Man coming back to singularity in a spiritual awakening, being reborn, physically born again, and you come away from your spiritual singularity, but you've got to find your way back, going away, coming back, or just